Hand spinning is slow, deliberate work. How does it challenge or soothe you in a world that values speed and efficiency? Welcome to episode 13 of Woolen Spinning Vlogmas. If you are just checking out my videos and you are new here, welcome. You might want to watch episode 1 first, which is linked for you down below. And I'll be releasing these videos every other day so that my production schedule isn't completely overwhelming, and I hope that you enjoy them. This is our second to last Vlogmas vlog, and it is also Christmas Day. So for those who are celebrating, Merry Christmas. And for those who acknowledge and celebrate Jewish traditions, Happy Hanukkah. And for everybody else, I hope you're having a wonderful winter holiday. Today's prompt might resonate with some of us quite deeply, and if so, please share in the comments about your experience with the tension between, quote, "why don't you sell your yarn," end quote, and the quiet power of creating simply for joy and connection. All right, let's get into it. In a world that prizes speed, spinning feels like a rebellion. Every turn of the wheel resists the modern tempo of instant gratification. There's no way to rush it, no shortcut to twist. To spin is to accept a different rhythm, one measured not in minutes, but in attention. Hand spinning is slow work. It is deliberate work, and that slowness is its gift. Each time I sit at the wheel, I am reminded that creation is not the same as production. The world tells us to optimize, to streamline, to scale, to lean. The wheel tells us to breathe, to listen, and to continue. At first, that difference can feel really quite uncomfortable, even to those of us who crave it. Slowness asks for surrender. It asks for presence in a way that can feel foreign in a culture of hurry. But once the rhythm settles in, the treadle, the draft, the gentle pull of fiber, the noise of efficiency starts to fade. What remains is focus, texture, and peace. If the wheel feels slow by modern standards, the spindle feels almost timeless. It's the purest form of spinning, fiber, twist, and gravity in conversation. Whether suspended in the air or supported in a bowl, the spindle moves at a pace that reveals everything. Fiber length, twist strength, even your own patience. There's no way to rush a spindle. Each length of yarn is earned in inches, not yards. The suspended spindle asks for rhythm. The twist gathers in the shaft while your hands draw fiber upward. Then you pause, you wind on, and you begin again. It's a pulse, twist, draft, wind, repeat, like the world's oldest metronome. Supported spindles resting in a bowl demand an even slower grace. They turn with the lightest flick, holding twist in fine fibers like cotton or cashmere. Watching one spin is like watching time made visible, deliberate, fragile, and endless. Spindle spinning doesn't tolerate distraction. Every few seconds requires touch, adjustment, and rebalancing. The body becomes the tensioning system. Your fingers learn to measure twist by feel alone. It's the most elemental kind of control, a dialogue of weight, momentum, and fiber. The reward isn't speed, but intimacy. You come to know the fiber completely, one arm's length at a time. And yet, the spindle's slowness carries its own satisfaction. It's portable, it's rhythmic, it's democratic. The same tool used for millennia across continents. To spin on a spindle today is to join every culture that ever made thread before machines existed. There's humility in that lineage. In that stillness of the spindle, we rediscover what time feels like when we stop trying to save it. Spinning challenges the part of me that measures worth in output. I can spend an hour at the wheel and have only a few yards of yarn to show for it. My hands might be busy, but the results are often invisible at first glance. And it's tempting to think of that time as, quote, unproductive. Yet, the longer I spin, the more I see that the value of making lies not in what I produce, but in how I experience it. Each stage of spinning, from washing a fleece to drafting fine singles, is an act of care. And that care doesn't scale. You can't double it with speed or automate its rhythm, but instead it asks for patience, repetition, and respect for the process. The wheel doesn't respond to urgency, it rewards steadiness. In that way, it becomes both teacher and mirror. When I catch myself hurrying, the yarn tightens and it snarls, and when I relax, it just flows. The wheel doesn't judge, it just simply reflects my feelings. Its pace is the pace of attention itself. Ask any hand spinner and they'll tell you this question comes up all the time. Are you going to sell your yarn? How much would that skein go for? The implication is innocent but persistent. If something takes time and skill, surely it must have a market. Surely the value of our work lies in its exchangeability. But hand spinning resists that equation. The true currency of spinning isn't money, it's meaning. We spin not to fill shelves, but to fill a need that can't be priced. The need to make something whole with our hands. Most of us don't spin for profit because the math doesn't work. If you accounted for the hours of preparation, the attention to detail, and the small scale of handwork, a single skein would cost more than anyone could reasonably pay. But the deeper reason is simpler. We don't spin to sell, we spin to stay connected. When someone asks if I'm selling my yarn, I understand the curiosity, but I also feel the subtle misunderstanding behind it. It assumes that making is only worthwhile when it leads to commerce. But what if making is its own reward? What if creativity doesn't need to justify itself through transaction? I make yarn because I love the act of making, because it grounds me, slows me, and reminds me of continuity. I knit and weave what I spin because wearing or using my own yarn feels like a kind of dialogue with time. Every stitch, every thread holds memory of fiber in my hands, of weather outside the window, of the gentler rhythm that carried me through that day. That's not something you sell, that's something you live with. There is a quiet power in making something for no other reason than love. In a culture that constantly asks, what's it for, or how will you use it, to create without an external purpose feels radical. When I spin, I'm not thinking about markets or measurements. I'm thinking about color, tension, texture, about the way fiber slips through my fingers and twist begins to hum. This kind of making has no deadline and no transaction attached to it. It exists for the pleasure of process. Like walking or reading or gardening, it's an act of attention rather than ambition. The value isn't in the end product, it's in the presence it cultivates. Making for love also preserves the integrity of curiosity. When we aren't spinning for sale, we can experiment without fear of failure. We can make something too thick or too thin, ply something odd, try fibers we've never touched. The freedom to explore without expectation of profit or perfection is where real creative growth happens. There's a misconception that if a craft doesn't generate income, that it's somehow indulgent or less serious. But hand spinning and all handcraft really reminds us that love itself is a valid motive. To make something because it feels meaningful, because it brings calm or joy or focus is enough. We don't have to justify it. In truth, making for the love of making connects us more deeply to the long human story of creation. Before industry, before economies of scale, people spun and wove and built because they needed to, but also because it satisfied something within them. The instinct to shape, to understand through touch, to transform raw material into belonging. When I spin just for the pleasure of it, I'm not escaping modern life, I'm rejoining that lineage. This kind of love-based making isn't unproductive, it's restorative, and it replenishes what the fast world depletes. Patience, focus, gentleness, and joy. It teaches that time spent in care is never wasted. The slowness of spinning is not only a challenge, it's a refuge. The wheel's rhythm soothes the nervous system. Its sound, soft, repetitive, almost like breathing, creates a physical sense of calm. In a world flooded with screens and notifications, this kind of focus feels revolutionary. To work slowly is to reclaim our senses, the feel of wool through fingertips, the faint lanolin scent, the sight of twist forming. These tactile moments draw us out of the abstraction and into presence. Slowness becomes not delay but depth. Modern life often encourages disconnection from our hands, our bodies, our communities. Spinning does the opposite. It returns us to material, rhythm, and place. Each session at the wheel is a form of meditation, but also a form of memory, a reminder that making has always been slow, that human creativity was never meant to be instant. So when I spin, I'm not producing inventory. I'm cultivating relationship with fiber, with self, with tradition, with our community. The finished skein is less a product than a trace, evidence of time well spent. Some skeins become sweaters or shawls. Others sit on the shelf for months or even years until they tell me what they want to become. There's a quiet satisfaction in that waiting, in not needing to monetize or rationalize what I make. I preserve its purity. The wheel asks nothing but attention, and in return it gives contentment. It's the rare kind of work that leaves you richer in spirit than when you began. Making without the pressure to sell also keeps curiosity alive. I can experiment freely. I can overspin, underspin, ply wildly without worrying whether the result will appeal to anyone else. That freedom is where real creativity lives. It's where learning happens and where love of the process deepens. So to choose slow work in a fast world is an act of subtle defiance. It says, I refuse to measure my worth by output. I refuse to confuse busyness with meaning. Hand spinning doesn't compete with modern life, it corrects it. It reminds us that human time and natural time are different, that good things take as long as they take. The wheel turns at its own pace, and when I match it, the world feels less fragmented. Spinning teaches that attention is a form of love, that every yard of yarn carries proof that I was here, fully present, doing one thing well. That might not be efficient, but it is deeply human. So number one, time as material. Spinning doesn't consume time, it transforms it. Every yard of yarn is condensed attention, hours made tangible. Number two, the myth of productivity. Speed produces volume, not meaning. Slow work builds understanding, connection, and peace. Number three, making versus selling. Not all making needs a market. To create for joy is to reclaim autonomy over our craft and our pace. Number four, slowness as resistance. Choosing to spin slowly is a quiet refusal of a culture that treats care as inefficiency. Number five, presence over perfection. The value of a skein isn't in its evenness, but in the presence that shaped it. Hand spinning teaches not how to keep up, but how to stay still long enough to belong. For more about the woolen spinning community and about the podcast, please have a look in the down bar. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help the show get found by other people, especially those who don't know about us yet. And you can find me on Instagram as Woolen Spinning. Check out Patreon to join the community at patreon.com/woolenspinning/join. And I will see you in our final episode, number 14, which is called Legacy and Lineage, I think. Until next time, I wish you a wonderful holiday season and keep warm. Bye for now.